Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. I am just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How you doing today, bro?
Oh, it's Friday. Big weekend ahead, and I'm just looking
Ooh,
forward to it.
I hear that. Yeah, I would say I kind of have a big weekend myself. Shout out to some friends who had some birthdays and have a birthday this weekend. But yeah, we've got a lot to cover. I say we just like jump right into it. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, I'm good with that as well.
All right. Unfortunately, the first bit of news is not a happy one. Uh, I don't even know how to say this. Like, epic actor Donald Sutherland passed away today. Sorry, yesterday. No, yeah, it was. I think it was. Let me just double
Recently.
check. Yesterday, he passed away yesterday at the age of 88. It was due to a prolonged illness. Now, for those of you, I mean, I I honestly can't imagine anyone in North America watching this who doesn't recognize this guy's face because Donald Sutherland was an epic actor in the terms of I've seen him in movies and shows since I was a child. So like better part of like 40 years of me just nonstop seeing him on TV. Like I know he was well known for being in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He also was like I think he started out in MASH as well.
Yep.
Uh, Everyone knows him, I think, more today from the Hunger Games trilogy, where he played President Snow.
Yep.
But also like me personally, I knew him from JFK. I knew him from Disclosure. I knew him from Pride and Prejudice, which is not something I like. I didn't like the movie, love the book, and also love the TV series, but not the movie. Anyway, so like he's been a long career, but also some of his other ones that are big movies are um, Lawman Bass Reeve, Mr. Harrington's Phone, Miranda's Victim, um, as well as Citizen X, Path of War, The Dirty Dozen, and he was also on the TV series as Commander in Chief, Dirty Sexy. Oh yes, he was in Dirty Sexy Money. I do remember him in that, and also in the series Moby Dick. So, Dars, how about you, man? Like, what do you remember the first time you saw him in, and or what do you know him the best as?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know what I remember him first in, but I mean, I feel like I think of him a lot now because of the Hunger Games, just like
Yeah.
his portrayal in that. I was looking at his IMDb. This will be a positive but slightly sad note. So his acting career on IMDb was 199 credits, but he had one more upcoming credit in pre-production to make it 200. However, that's pre-production. That means he hasn't filmed anything, so he wouldn't have made it to 200, unfortunately. So but that
Oh,
is such an epic number. I don't think I've seen somebody with 199 things on their list. That is,
that is wow.
yeah, and I mean, everything from being narrator on Jock the Hero Dog, to being President Snow. That's quite a history of work, body of work.
Italian Job. That was the other one I knew him from.
Oh yeah, that feels that. Yeah, that one definitely resonates. Yeah, he's done so many different things, and
So
you
many.
know, it's amazing to see, and seeing a clip with him and his son. I know that. How do you pronounce his son's name again?
Kiefer.
Kiefer. Yeah, I knew it was gonna be slightly off. And it was this beautiful little thing where he was being interviewed, and he said, like, did your father ever give you any like acting notes? And I'm gonna paraphrase or slightly rephrase what he said because I don't remember the exact words, but it was something
Yeah.
like, it was like to the point of like, be truthful and your performance. And Kiefer was saying that the way he interpreted that is like to never force anything. And so when if you're in a scene and his is his example, they ask the scene asks for you to cry, and you're trying to get there and you can't cry, you don't force the crying. You find another way to express what it is meant to express in a way that's honest from yourself. And I just think that was a beautiful thing
That
for
is,
father son to teach him.
yeah,
Regardless of like, clearly Donald didn't really instruct a lot. It was more like you let him do his own thing, but that little bit was obviously powerful. And be honest is like, yeah, the way you're pulling on this character just because it says to do this might not be the right exact mechanical thing, but you can still get to the same outcome, and maybe you present something that no one ever thought of. And so that's a beautiful family legacy. And just it's unfortunate to see him go, but he obviously lived a fantastic life, it seems, with a huge body of work behind him, and will always be remembered.
yeah. I will say that I just remembered actually. I remember seeing. Hey, how you doing, T? Welcome to the party.
What's up, bro?
We're just talking about Donald Sutherland's passing. I'm going to turn it to you in a second for your thoughts on the matter. But I just want to say that I remembered another piece, even though like I remember he hated doing the role, but he was actually on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie that started the whole franchise. You go to say that?
Yeah, no, actually, that was the first thing that I remember him in.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was the first movie I saw him in as Merrick, right?
Yeah.
That was the name of the character. Yeah. I thought he did it. Yeah, and then obviously you guys mentioned Italian Job. He was in another. I think the most recent thing I saw him in was The Mechanic with Jason Statham.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah. Sorry, Umar, were you done? I didn't want to jump in.
Oh no, I was done. I was actually going to ask T, like, was there a particular role that you liked him the best in, or were those the ones that like really stood out to you?
Those are the ones that really stood out to me. I can't say that I've seen all of the Hunger Game films to really give a accurate or adequate assessment on his performance in that regard. But in terms of some of the stuff that I off the top of my head that I can remember, The Italian Job, The Mechanic, and of course Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I know a lot of people shit on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. I actually kind of enjoyed it as a kid, and I thought he was great in it. And yeah, it was always just kind of cool and fun to see him kind of show up. He kind of played like a very endearing father figure in a lot of his films, and always had some really nice he always bestowed some nice wisdom on his supporting characters within the movie based on whatever character he was playing. So yeah, it was always interesting and good to see him show up, and it's really unfortunate of his passing. But he had a large body of work, as Darcy talked about earlier, and it's unfortunate he didn't reach the 200 mark. But yeah. I mean, 199 is still a great body of work, man. So yeah, 100%. He'll definitely be remembered.
I just want to quickly state that I find your perception of Donald Sutherland to be significantly different from mine. When I was growing up, I knew him as the villain, because literally everything I saw him in as a child, he was always playing like the villain role. Like I forget I can't remember which movie it was, but he grabbed someone by the feet and like spun them around the room. And I like, maybe those Body Snatchers. I can't remember what the movie was, but I was very young when I watched it, and ever since then he freaked me out a little bit. So like as I got older and I realized that he started playing more of the roles that you're describing, Tactix, I was like, yo, he's just faking. He's a bad guy. but like as I got to learn about the actor himself, like he he did a lot of like protesting for very good causes. So yeah, it's funny how your perceptions are so different based on how you get introduced to someone.
So life doesn't always imitate art, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
So
yeah.
interesting.
I don't recall him playing in any villains. I don't think I've seen him in any villainous roles that I can remember.
You were saying, Darcy?
Interesting movies that he's been in that I was like trying to remember, like what's some stuff that I've seen him in from like a time ago that like I was like there's like some movies I couldn't think of. A couple that stood out to me. The Eagle, 2011 with which is like a gladiator type movie. The Art of War from 2000, which is a Wesley Snipes action film.
Oh yeah.
But then there was one that I was like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot he was in this. And it's a really classic OG film that actually relates to another actor we're going to talk about in a recent film recently.
I think I know which one you're going to say.
6 Degrees of Separation.
That was not the movie I was going to say. You're right. You're right. He was also in 6 Degrees of Separation. I was going to say he was in A Time to Kill.
A Time to Kill. Oh, A Time to Kill. Is that the one
with Matthew McConaughey and Samuel L. Jackson? With
oh yeah.
I think it was who was the other?
Kevin Spacey, Sandra Bullock.
Kevin Spacey. That was it. Sandra Bullock. Yeah, that was it. So like I remember him in that. That was like I think the first movie I saw him in where he started switching perspective. My perception of him started to change. I'm like, oh, he's not an evil person in this one. But no, you're right about 6 Degrees Separation. I forgot about that.
That's a classic film because that was like that is like the unknown Will Smith film that's actually like one of his really good acting roles because he played like Will played like so many different characters as he was like the guy was like a con man switching between multiple things, but his interactions with Donald were just so magnetic between the two. And that's just like a fantastic throwback if you've seen it. And if you haven't seen 6 Degrees Separation, I would recommend it because it will surprise you. It is a very it's a movie that's like it's like one of those films where there's not a lot going on. There's like one set for most of the entire film, and yet you're drawn into this conversations that are happening, and it's just conversations. And it you on paper you're like, nah, this ain't gonna hit. And you're like, no, it hits. It hits.
I do want to revisit it, mostly from a perspective wise, because I saw it when I was I think it was like 1920. So it's been like 20 years since I've seen it. I would actually like to see how my perceptions of it would have changed over time, especially of all the actors that I know now, like a lot better and with a lot more like perspectives on their personal life and also their bodies of work.
Did you say you saw it in 1920?
No, I saw it when I was 19 or 20.
Oh, I think it's like 1920. I'm like, what's this guy? Underworld? Like vampires?
Nah. Your face makes it a lot more sense. I was like, why are you so surprised by this?
It's like I haven't seen it since 100 years before it was created. It's like, okay, cool, sounds good.
All right. Moving on to our next topic. So, the trailer. Or I should say the second trailer for the upcoming TV series, The Penguin, which is going to be a continuation of the Matt Reeves The Batman universe. So for those of you who don't know, The Batman came out in 2022. It was highly anticipated, and obviously it was directed by Matt Reeves. And we have been told that the Batman universe is going to continue, even though it is not a part of James Gunn's DCU. So this will be a independent Elseworld universe that is about Batman with Robert Pattinson and with the Penguin. And so therefore they created a TV series, which is going to be a limited series one. It's entirely focused on Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, who's played by the unrecognizable Colin Farrell. I've never known a man to jump into a role so completely as he does, and I would say Heath Ledger is the only other Batman character that got so immersed in his role that I couldn't see Heath Ledger in it. Same thing with Colin Farrell's The Penguin. Now, this series is going to be 8 episodes long. And the premise says, taking place 1 week following the events of the Batman 2022, the series explores the rise to power of Oswald Oz Cobblepot / Penguin in Gotham City's criminal underworld. So I'm gonna jump to T first for this one, because Tactix and I share a perspective of not enjoying villain-centric films and series. But while I'll go to mine after this, I will say that this trailer kind of changed my mind on that one. And T, I want to know, did this trailer reinforce that belief or change it?
No me gusta. No me gusta. I am not. It is not for me, man. And it didn't change my perspective one bit, just because. And not to say that it's a bad trailer. It looks great. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
The issue I have, and granted, my perspective could change once I actually check out the show. I'm still going to check it out, obviously, but for me, I'm not super overly excited for this, mainly because one, there's no Batman, and as you pointed out, Umar, I don't like when villains are the show. I like when they steal the show, as I've always said.
Right.
And I feel like this is just kind of like what they're doing with the Joker, with Joker, and making all the villains very center focus. And I'm just not all that interested. Yeah, you can make the argument that like there's going to be a lot more world building, and all of that is great. But again, at the end of the day, if I'm watching a Batman property, I'm there to see Batman. But again, obviously, I'm biased, being a Batman fan. I want to see my man in action, right? That being said, I feel like whether like Batman attached or not, if you're a fan of like shows like The Sopranos, or you enjoyed movies like The Godfather and in that same kind of gangster films, or like gangster TV shows
Mobster,
or whatever, right?
I want to say Mobster specifically.
Mobster, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah,
fair. So I feel like this is definitely going to be more up your alley, and plus you have the added bonus of it being somewhat connected to Batman. And as Darcy has said, I believe off air, that there's a potential chance that we might actually end up seeing Batman show up in the shadows, kind of which could be interesting. But yeah, for me, I was never really into those mobster type of shows. Like, it's not something that I was like eagerly willing to go and check out. You know what I mean? Like, if it got high ratings from somebody that I knew, then I'd be a little bit more enticed to go and check it out. But like mobster stuff aren't really my jive. So for me, this is kind of like fitting within that kind of same narrative, and I'm like not really all that interested unless I hear word that like Batman plays a more pivotal role in it. Obviously, he's going to take a back seat significantly, but if he shows up periodically, even a little bit, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll check it out and see, because maybe it might be some necessary viewing to prep me for the Batman 2. But other than that, no me gusta.
Yeah, okay. To be honest, now that you like put it out like that, this show is like specifically tailored not to impress you, like at all.
Yeah. But again, it's not a bad trailer. I can see why people would like it. I'm sure you guys like love it and are excited, and I can't fault you for that. Just for me, it's just not my thing.
I hear that. It's like, okay, like for me, like I don't like horror movies, but I can point out that this trailer looks like a good horror movie. I'm not going to watch it. This I could see it on the same level. It's like it looks like a good limited series. It's just not something that like appeals to me. I hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Darce?
Oh, so I thought you were gonna say more than that.
So sorry.
I was waiting for you to say like a lot, and you're like, oh, it doesn't appeal to you. And I thought you said before it did appeal to you watching the trailer. Now you're saying
no. I was saying I meant the like horror movie trailers don't appeal to me. But I can still accept I can still like view it as an aesthetically pleasing and also quality film. Just it's not something I want to watch. And I'm saying that I can relate to what Tactix is saying regarding the Penguin. Hence,
but what about what your thoughts on the Penguin? Because I want to go last in this one.
Fair enough. Okay. For me personally, I will say that when I first saw the first trailer, I was kind of on the same level with Tactix. I thought that I felt that this was kind of like a waste of like progressing the story. And to me, it felt like this was meant to be what the DCU or like what the DCU was going to be based around the Batman. But then when we got the DCU, it's almost like this is like its own little thing that I felt was ultimately going nowhere. But watching the second trailer gave me, because like I do like mobster series. Like I love The Godfather. Like and I like watching other. I haven't got around to watching The Sopranos, but it is something of my interest. I do like seeing crime lords, the rise and fall of them, that sort of thing. So for me, when I watched this did not look like a lack of quality, and this did not look like people were wasting their time as just like a money grab. This reminded me a little bit of HBO's Watchmen, where I was like, wait, why are they doing this? And like I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, but I'll get around to it. And then I had people like yelling down my like Tactix, your cousin literally like spent an entire evening convincing me to watch that series. And I watched it, I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. This gave me those type of vibes, where if you like mobster films, if you like good acting, if you like the fact that like, I like the Penguin as, and this is going to be a weird take from my perspective, the Penguin is among the few villains that I would be happy to see more centric, because he is somewhat ordinary, and in the comics he plays very much a dual sort of role. Like he is a criminal, but at the same time, if it works in his benefit, he does help Batman. Like that's why Batman comes to him. It's like, okay, I want to beat you up. It's like, you don't have to beat me up. Here's the information you want. It's like,
He's a smart dude. He's playing
exactly, and that's what I like about Oswald. And so this series, in my opinion, the trailer tapped into that, and I'm like, okay, so he wants to take over, but at the same time, he wants to be in a position where he wins no matter what, and he has to take out his rivals who have always looked down at him. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in it. Also, I like the actors that are in it. Like they've got let me just like look like, I mean, they got our boy Clancy Brown playing Salvatore Moroni, which is, I think, it's a brilliant casting move. But they got Sofia Falcone and also Alberto Falcone, but like who they got to like cast them is also interesting, because they got Kristen Milotti. She was the mother from How You Met Your Mother at the end. I've seen her a couple of times. I've started to like her body of work, but I haven't seen a lot of her to really know. But his name is Michael Zagan, who also plays Alberto Falcone. He is from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I think he was also in Boardwalk Empires. But like, so like this cast, just like for me personally, these four are people taking these roles seriously from the comics. And so I'm like, all right, I'm all in. Like, it's got a good look to it. Looks like it's good writing. I mean, Colin Farrell is fantastic. Plus, also you got all the characters that I like from the comics who are now coming in with like good actors. I'm in. So that's how I feel about it. And I was actually quite surprised that this trailer has literally turned me 180 on this role. Oh, sorry, not on this role, on this series.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lay out what I like and what I hope for this, and I bet you by the end of this, if I am right in where I want this show to go, based on what I'm seeing, Tactix is going to be all in. Okay.
Really?
Okay. So first off, I'm going to make a very strong couple determinations here. This to me is not like Joker or Venom in the perspective of it being villain centric, because Joker is probably the most similar comparison, but let me start with Venom. Venom tries to make a villain into a hero or anti-hero. And Joker tries to make sympathy of that character. This feels more actually appropriate for what these characters are, in that it is a mobster, like we talked about, crime-based thing where bad people are doing bad things to other bad people. And we just happen to be focusing our perspective on this particular person because they're more central to the larger like storyline, right? That we're about to unfold. So I don't feel like, yeah, there's maybe a level of like understanding this guy or rooting for this guy, but I don't think that would be any different than if they had a Batman film and they spent a certain portion of time on this character because I wanted to show an interplay and build that character up for like let's say it was the first film and they wanted to build up how important this character is going to be over the next 2 films, and there's going to be a big epic thing between him and Batman in the final. But instead of doing that idea, like they want to show how important he is to this whole underworld, and the events of the first film create the opportunity for him to be that way, both in the killing of Falcone and or the death of Falcone, and then the flooding of the city is just creating this opportunity for him to come out, right, as the Penguin. And but it's a story about bad people doing bad things to other people, so everything about it tonally feels right. It does not feel like I'm getting Venom's version of the Penguin, right, where we're going to do a story about the Penguin and how the Penguin is the hero, right, and we're ignoring the Batman of this universe. Like, it doesn't feel so not that, right? That's the first thing I want to say, right? And you can, and then, like you guys said, Sopranos or like a Peaky Blinders, we're like, who's the real hero in these stories, right? Like, no one's the real hero. Everyone's doing bad shit. We just decide to root for this person, right? Or like Death Note, where we root for one then end up loving another at the end. Okay, that's my first point on my level playing field. Okay, around like where I think this is different. Now, one thing I want to say also set this up in terms of like my overall theory of where this might go is they're holding some information close to the chest right now in this. And I was just looking at the IMDb. Colin Farrell's only listed for 1 episode. We know he's not going to be in only 1 episode. A lot of people are only listed for 1 or 2 episodes in this show, which tells me that the people who are listed for 2 episodes probably aren't making it very far because they're small characters. And the people who are listed for 1 episode, they don't want you to know who's in every episode, which means that, because I was looking like, is this person going to show up? Is this person going to show up? But they could just keep that person out. But the fact that Colin Farrell is only listed for 1 out of 8 episodes tells me that they just don't want to release information about this at all. Right? They're just they want the story to unfold, and you're going to see it as it goes, especially considering, like, I think Matt Reeves is going to be, he's not like Zack Snyder and just be like, here's a trailer that tells you the whole fucking story. Right? Like, not at all. Okay, so let me set that up. So, one, I love the tone of this. I love that it's the crime against crime. I love how it will expand and lay out how big the underworld is, and really, like, you know how I feel about this, build up the world around this even bigger than it was, so that we have a bigger platform for the Batman 2 to stand on. And it gives lots of opportunity to bring in different characters. Like, you know how I've been saying, I forget his name, but the pig guy who's like a human butcher. The pig. I want him to show up. And I'm like, oh, I could see a really good opportunity where, like, you know, like, don't send him to the pig, don't send him to the butcher, and then you see a scene or something like that. But here's the thing. Here's what I really want, where I want this to build to. I want this episode 8 to finish like the 3rd act of Suicide Squad: Assault on Arkham, where we don't get the Batman until the Batman has to come in and handle something, because everything is going so crazy in this world that the Penguin's able to do all this stuff, and then he starts to see things happening a certain way, and he sets up a play where the Batman has to handle the play, and the Penguin gets to walk away from it.
That's awesome, actually.
And then that's a setup for the next film. So, like, a couple smaller guys start getting put away, and Batman realizes how far things have gotten while he's been trying to deal with everything else, because like the city is literally flooded. Like there's problems. There are problems to deal with. And and the Penguin can walk around all this stuff where no one's paying attention to him. So it's like building out how bad this is only for like the Batman only to do a small thing. He cannot even accomplish shit. And then we got to get to the second film.
So kind of like, if I'm understanding correctly, you're it would be like in the last episode, like Penguin has set up things, everything is about to go down, everyone's in a tense state, and all of a sudden crash, and everyone's like, oh shit, Batman's here, and then like he comes in and starts dealing with people.
Yeah, I think that'd be an epic way to do it, because you could really focus on having the stunt people. You don't even really actually need to bring in
Robert
Pattinson, because it's a fight. It's not a full acting. Like if anything, you just have him do a small little thing, right? He shows up for one day, does a little face thing, voice thing, whatever, and you just do a week's worth or 2 weeks worth, whatever it takes, to do the fight, right, with stunt people. That's how I want to see this go. So that way it's like and I was saying this to Umar beforehand. This show is visually and tonally so far, it looks like, set up that I could see people who've never even watched anything about the Batman, let's say they're just not into that kind of vibe, watching the show, not realizing what it's about, and they could play it to the point where it's like they reference him, but maybe they don't even reference him directly as the Batman. They just be like, oh, don't talk about it, so, like whatever, and they just keep like, it's like more Voldemorting his name, just letting it be for most people, and then you get to this final epic moment and you're like, wait, what? But it's like, anyways, this is how I'm loving it. And even if I don't get what I want, I still think this is going to be fantastic, because I think it's going to do a great job of building up the second film, unlike things like Joker and Venom, which build up to nothing that we want, because they don't incorporate the rest of the world. This is incorporating the rest of the world. It's building the world as I see it, and so it's fundamentally different. And I don't feel like it is it's committing the same crime as those other ones, and what bothers you guys so much. And I agree with those films. I don't like them that much either, especially the Venom. So this for me feels completely different.
Okay. Oh, if what Darcy suggested happened, how would you react?
Darcy, you got my hopes up, man. Okay. So I wasn't with you on the first part, because I'm like, well, yeah, okay, sure, but the second part, yeah, that actually sounds kind of dope. I'm not gonna lie. Like if Pattinson or even just Batman does show up at the end, I mean, and it would make sense, because if it's like, if they're built, like if this whole series is building up to something catastrophic and Batman doesn't show up, it's kind of like, well, like where's he at? Like what? Like shouldn't he show up? Shouldn't he be a part of something like this? So yeah, it would definitely make sense, and I would be on board. With that. And again, granted, like how I feel about this right now as a series is kind of similar to how I felt about the John Wick spinoff with Winston as the Continental. Yeah. I wasn't originally on board with it. I was just like, well, if John Wick ain't in it, then why am I even watching this? But I checked it out, and it's kind of a slow burn, but I ended up actually really enjoying it, especially the last episode. There was only 3 episodes, but they're long episodes, and that actually ended up holding up. So if this is on that same level, and it can give me that and exceed my expectations, then of course I'm definitely going to be on board, especially with that Batman at the end pitch. Like, Darcy, that's money right there. So yeah,
100%. I agree.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, Darcy, you're on mute.
Yeah, I muted myself for a second there. I don't know how I did it. But yeah, no, I like, when I was just thinking about it, it's like, what's the right way? Because you don't want the show to be all about Batman, right? You really want it to be about the Penguin and the crime that's happening, but you want it to be like bad on bad, and you don't change the character. And Matt Reeves is not going to change the character. Like, he's not going to, like, have the first film, set him up to be exactly what we think he's going to be, do a spin-off, make him, like, Venom, and then come back and be like, why would you even waste your time with that? You know what I mean? Like, just change the character for 8 episodes just to come back. Like, why would you spend your money just to ruin your own franchise? You know what I mean? Like, so I just totally see this, like, playing out very well. And, I mean, it's on HBO Max. It's not just like on whatever, plus.com. It's HBO. Its name's attached to it. And HBO has been known for making quality stuff. Not all of it finishes well, but at least always starts well. Game of Thrones.
All right. Yeah. So nonetheless, so this series is going to debut in September, like this coming September. So
Who's that? Is that Hush?
That looks like Hush.
What's that?
T?
I don't know, man. I was just getting pictures.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't know.
Be.
I don't know who that is. Possibly Hush. Maybe. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, I guess we'll find out.
Not, because I feel like it's way too early for Hush.
It's way too early for Hush. He has to be like when Batman is like fully established.
This also looks too well lit and too well shot. Like, I feel like this might just be like an incorrect photo from the thing, because it's like a lot of the, like, even in the show, I still see they're using the messed up lenses that like blur everything, and this just feels like a little bit too clean and normal.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to our next topic, the trailer for the trailer for Arcane, the Netflix animated CGI animated series has also been released recently. Now, I will say that, just putting it out there, I haven't seen all first season of Arcane. I meant to get around to it, kind of like lost track of it. Saw the trailer for season 2.
Blasphemy.
And I know. I will say the trailer for season 2 has actually made me strongly motivated to watch it next on my list, because I'm like, yo, this actually looks really dope. And the first 2 episodes of what I've seen of the first season of Arcane, I was like, I was not gonna lie, I was a little bored, but seeing the trailer for season 2, I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, a lot of shit happened.
Yeah, because like in the beginning, there's like this first arc where it's like setting up backstory on the characters, and then it jumps forward, and then then when you see everything that happens from there, the backstory really resonates strong. So yes, it's like, it may seem boring, but it's kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen, where like the first 3 episodes are like jumping into a completely different time frame, and then you jump forward back into your current time frame, except you just started a show that way, so it's like a little, you don't have that like, there's 2 different timelines.
Gotcha. Okay. So the season 2, which is going to be the final season of the series, like, they're not going at present, they're not saying they're going to be progressing past season 2. Season 2 is going to be released in November of 2024. So as fans of the first season, I'm actually really interested to hear how you guys felt about the trailer. So Darcy, let's start with you, man. What do you think of season 2 of the season 2 trailer for Arcane?
I mean, take my money. I mean, they already have it. It's Netflix. They take it every month. But yeah, I mean, the first season was fantastic. Other than like a couple characters that I was like, I don't really care that much about, but I could tell they were set up for the second season, and I feel like I'm going to care about them a lot more. Like, there's a lot of character on the political part of the world that I was like, I wasn't really interested in that political side of things, but I can tell like I'm going to care later. And so, and also because there's definitely in this show, I think if I remember correctly, there's like kind of multi timelines happening, I think, at the same time. And so that thing was, I think if I remember correctly, but it's been a little while since I've seen it. However, I absolutely love this show. The sisters, the dialogue, the interaction between was amazing. The younger sister on the left-hand side is a female Joker. And she's phenomenal. She goes off the deep end, and she becomes kind of like a Harley Quinn / Joker kind of midpoint kind of person. It's really interesting. Yeah, you're slacking, bro. You slacking. Like, this is
my apologies. My apologies.
No, trust me. And then what's his name? I forget, but their one childhood friend, the black kid, he shows up strong at the end of that end of the season. Oh man, his fight with Jinx, ooh, damn, that was I love that. So just take my money, just take my money is all I gotta say. I'm ready, I'm down, let's go.
Interesting. I just want to point out Maybot's comment. She says, if Riot has done any lore right, it would be with Arcane. And she then followed up by saying, indeed, Jinx is the poster girl for League. So those are a lot of words I don't fully understand, but like, it sounds like they are in unison with what Darcy said.
What's amazing about this show is that it's based on a game I know nothing about, but no, I know the name. I just haven't played it.
I was saying it for Umar.
Thanks, T. I appreciate you.
I just like, man, like I play more video games than the two of you combined, right?
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Yeah. But I can tell by the quality of the show and general response from the community in general, like it also feels like one of those few video games to show adaptations that are really good. I think if I'm understanding correctly, this is like a slight variation of its own story. I don't know if League of Legends has multiple stories like D&D has the ability to kind of like make its own stories, and there's like all these like, there could be a million stories inside the universe, so you can kind of do what you want with this, or if it's following a direct storyline from the game. I'm not sure, but it definitely feels very authentic to a property, unlike like say an Assassin's Creed movie that just didn't hit. Started good, didn't hit. Many of these video game adapted movies, they didn't hit. I mean, I kind of like the last World of Warcraft, but wasn't great. So,
how about you, T? What are your thoughts on the trailer?
Okay, so I'll be honest. I don't actually remember a lot of season 1. All I do know is I do remember loving the season. It's just it was so long ago that I've seen it that I don't really remember like a lot of what happened, right? And that's kind of the unfortunate thing about like animation type shows and movies and stuff like is that they take such a long time in between to develop seasons that sometimes
3 years.
Sometimes you just forget, right? And so I definitely have to do either rewatch the entire season or do a recap, but from what I've seen, like I'm already in. I didn't need to watch a trailer. I know that I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like Umar, kind of like what you were saying, when I first saw the first couple episodes in the first season, I was a little bit bored just because of that build up and whatnot. I thought I didn't think it was gonna go anywhere beyond that. And then it definitely picks up after like the third or fourth episode when they do the time jump, and shit definitely gets real. And I was definitely on board, especially with the fight scenes, especially with Jinx's character. Darcy's assessment is 100% accurate. She's definitely a combination of Harley Quinn and the Joker in the best possible way. And
wow,
I like that they're ending on the second season because, end on a good note. Don't overplay it just because the hype is really real. So yeah, I'm on board, man. I'm on board.
Yeah,
I like it.
Plus, you can't have 9 years between like 3 seasons and expect to keep pulling them numbers. Unfortunately,
I'm gonna forget every time.
Yeah, it's not like Japan where we have our guys working nonstop to get the next season out to a brutal level.
Yeah.
Just putting up Maybot's last comment. You don't need to know anything about the game, but with this show, you'll know what you need to.
Yep.
Yeah. I know League of Legends was like big back in the day. I don't know if it's still as popular, but
I think it's still very popular because it's in the there's the competitive leagues, and so it's highly popular from that. It's still a highly competitive space that it's dominating, but it's not like the most talked about. Like there's a game that's been popular, you might remember, called CS like Go for Counter-Strike. It's like from like early 90s, and people are still playing a version of it and competing it to this day, and it was made like shortly after Quake 2 kind of time frame, if you know what
Yeah,
I'm
I remember
referring to.
Counter-Strike was huge, man. Holy.
It's still huge. And now it's just CS:GO, which is like a newer version. People are still playing and competing on that. It's the same freaking map from like the early 90s. It's still popular.
That's crazy,
It's just not, people aren't talking about it because you either are a CS person or you're not a CS person. That's how it is.
I was playing that shit in high school, man. Holy.
Yeah, still they released CS2 recently.
That's crazy, man. Holy.
As a non-gamer, I will be the one to say Maybot's comments. Back in the day, lore is scrap. Game is still strong, but the lore is set. Counter-Strike 1.6, baby. And CS:GO are still playing that Dust 2.
Yo, what
I
do you
love
know
all
about
words that I don't
StarCraft, though?
understand.
StarCraft, though, bro. What do you know about that?
I do know StarCraft.
Still pretty popular.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people are still playing that competitively.
Holy, that was my shit back in the day, man. I loved StarCraft.
How League might have taken over StarCraft entirely. I'm not sure. StarCraft.
Just pointing out that Courtney has joined the group, and she says, "Yo, boys, hate that I'm late for the Arcane convo. So stoked for season 2." And Maybot says, "If you know, you know." I will say that as someone, another reason of why I am looking forward to watching this series is, as I've mentioned before, am not a fan of CG animated shows. Inherently, they just turn me off, and this also includes anime as well. And I'm using this preface to say the animation for this show is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, I have no notes, no faults in relation to this. Like, I am looking forward to watching all of season 1 and hopefully getting past season 2 this time. Let's hope that my partner and I can watch it together. Anyway, I will say that even back then, I didn't find the animation to be the fault. It was the storyline. But like, now seeing the animation like 3 years later for season 2, I'm like, damn, that is beautiful.
You know what I just realized? Oh no, okay. The animation. So this came out after Into the Spider-Verse, because like animation styles it's not the same, but it's like there's learning of craft. There's similar learning of craft. Yeah, it's one of those few that are in that realm of like really pushing their own artistic envelope and not feeling like just 3D 2D crap. The stuff you hate.
Yeah. So anyway, nonetheless, we will be following when season. I think I'll I don't know, T, if you want to get together to watch season 1 together, or if we all just recap it just in time for season 2. We will be following Arcane season 2 when it's released on Netflix in November. So moving on to our next trailer that we're going to be discussing today. We're doing a lot. We're doing reactions to a lot of the trailers that have been released recently. So this past week, we saw the release of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV series. Now, this is set in the universe of the Mutant Mayhem film that came out last year, not made by Seth Rogen, but produced by Seth Rogen, with also him voicing it. And it's meant to be a bridge between that film and the upcoming sequel that has been greenlit. It follows the Turtles as they navigate their dual lives as both teenagers and heroes in New York City. And it seems that most of the cast is coming back for it. So, I mean, good for them. So I wanted to ask, we're all fans of TMNT, but for me personally, when I see something of something that I want to share regarding TMNT, I definitely go to Tactix. So T, what did you think of this trailer for this upcoming series?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm actually watching it right now for the first time.
Darcy, what did you think of this trailer for this action?
Oh,
give me a moment.
You know what's funny is like you're like when I want to get like commentary on TMNT, I go to Tactix first, and I had a little look over here like okay, sure, okay, at least snub me over here, and then you go to Tactix and he's like, I'm just watching it now. So I was just like, perfect. You saw that I watched this just before
Yes.
the podcast. You watched me watch it, and you were trying to talk to me, and I was busy laughing. And I was like, "Why are you trying to talk to me, bro? You hear me
That's
laughing."
fair.
So, you already know I'm into this because I love that it is the same cast from the movie. It's straight on. It's not like a totally different thing. I like that it feels like the animation of the original with the new kind of smudge pushed together. Like it's like a perfect mix of like the TMNT show that we grew up on and this new cast and this new vibe. I'm just really into this, and I like that, like, they can bring this together. And I was laughing, like there's just a bunch of like little scenes in here. I was like, this is just funny. And I also like how the antagonist in this, she made me think of the person who does the costumes from Incredibles. with her hairstyle.
Oh, Edna?
Yeah, it kind of made me think of like if Edna was like bad, or like it was like Edna, or it's like, or even better, it's like the cousin that Edna doesn't recognize because she's kind of in the same world and is also like playing in the space of like, like superhero or superpowered things. But she's like, one, she's a hack job, and two,
Yeah.
she's doing it for the wrong reasons, right? And three, she ain't making no money because look at her, she look broke. I like she should be like me, And so it was just like when I saw this person, I was like, man, that's what you make me think of. But yeah, the cast is on point, the acting on point. Look at this animation. Like, how could you not like those expressions? Like, I love the first film. I've rewatched the first film. That says a lot. I don't rewatch a lot of films, and I am all in for watching this show. Hands down, definitely watching it.
T.
Yeah, I'm all caught up, man.
Yeah.
I'm all caught up. All right, we good. Yeah, it's a fun little trailer. Like Darcy, I enjoyed the movie that this is based off of. I haven't watched it again since the last time we saw it, but yeah, it looks fun. My thing is though, ever since they made the announcement of The Last Ronin, that's the TMNT property I'm really waiting for right now, man. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I'll still definitely check this out. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to commit to a lot of series properties right now, but yeah, I'll check it out. I've what's that?
I said hustle going well.
Oh yeah, 100% all day. So I have to be kind of choosy about the stuff I commit to in terms of TV shows. So I mean, I can't say that this is going to be high on my priority list of things to watch, but yeah, I'll probably get around to checking it out. I just won't be as eager as YouTube will be.
Well, that could change as you watch it.
Well, I mean, I'd have to start watching it first.
or you put your phone on a tripod. You say that you're going to be filming, but then you're just watching it. You got one AirPod in, and you're treating a client. Don't take my recommendations. Like you won't
So
yeah.
Oh yeah, please go on, man.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm more hyped for The Last Ronin, to be honest, because especially considering that's going to be live action, and that's kind of what I've been wanting from a TMNT property for a long time, and we still haven't gotten it. Well, yeah, I'm not even going to count the Michael Bay ones. So yeah,
it didn't happen, man. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I will say that like May by saying, I like the art. I was a fan, like I enjoyed the Mutant Mayhem, but I wasn't a huge fan of like certain aspects, specifically having to do with Splinter. This series looks like it's not going to have Splinter in it at all, which, as sad as I am to say this, I think it'll make it better for me to watch, because like I like Jackie Chan, but he's not Splinter for me, and especially in Mutant Mayhem, that wasn't a Splinter that's not my Splinter. So with this being focused on the four of them and like them like being separate and like coming together to like face Agent Bishop. Yeah, or sorry, I should say Edna's cousin. Yeah, I'm in. Like I'm happy to check this out. This looks like it like this doesn't look like it's going to be bad. This is not going to be a waste of my time or anything like that. I was wanting to know if like the same sort of creative team behind it. Unfortunately, it's doesn't seem like Seth Rogen is in any way involved in this. But I mean, at the same time, it looks like they got all the like the good perspectives that from him for the movie and just are like continuing on from that point. So like it's like they got the assignment, they're gonna run with it. He don't have to be involved anymore. So yeah, I'm in. I will also I will mirror Tactix in that there are other things that I have higher on a priority list, but I'm not going to sleep on this one either. Unless the reviews are really bad, in which case I'm going to back away. I'm
going to take a nap
very quickly.
I'm going to take a nap from this one, probably.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Moving on to our main event, which is going to be now you hopefully all got to see our out of the theater reaction for Bad Boys for Life. I got the name right? Yes, I did. No, it's not Bad Boys for Life. It's Bad Boys for Life. I did it again.
Fucked it up again.
I just can't fix it. Anyway, yes. So you guys all saw our out of the theater reaction for Bad Boys Ride or Die, aka Bad Boys 4. And now we of course did a spoiler-free review. Now we're going to do a spoiler-full review. So if you haven't seen Bad Boys Ride or Die, I almost said it again. I will say that maybe come back and watch the segment a little bit later on. So, Darcy, without mentioning Reggie, no, I'm just kidding. What did you think? Like, full on, complete, everything that you loved, didn't love, everything that hit you, what didn't hit you. What did you think? And also remind everyone what your rating for this film was. What were your thoughts on Ride or Die?
Rating was 7.5 out of 10. Let me start with things I'm not in love with. I things that I wasn't, one of the greatest for me is, even though this film has definitely done a better job of being like much more practical and closer to the first and second film for me, and feeling very like, even though they're fantastical, like these things actually happened, like these stunts really happened. There's still stuff in this film that there's moments where I'm like, okay, then there's CGI here or there's VFX here, and it feels a little less like grounded in some of the fights and whatnot. Then at moments or car chase and stuff like that, and I'm seeing like, oh, that's clearly a blue screen in the background. Like it's just like it takes me out a little bit. Yeah. And there are moments that their age is showing through a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But with all that said, I actually enjoyed myself in this film. I was in the theaters with my bros, and we were all laughing, enjoying, eating our popcorns, and just having a good time. The overall, a lot of like the fights and stuff like that were fairly good, and car chases and whatnot. The energy between the two of them, it felt pretty good. But I gotta give it up to Reggie. Reggie was out here killing it, literally putting like 15 bodies down. Okay, like just putting toe tags and taking names all day long. That man got he had the best arc, since the second film. So hands down. And I also enjoyed that there was layers in this where, look at Reggie. look at that. Like cornrows to the man. You know what I'm saying? Like
looking 30 for 20 years.
Exactly. You know what's funny? So I learned this just before going in watching this film, and I was telling you guys after the movie's done. So the actor who played Reggie in that scene right there in the top left corner where he looks scared, he's actually scared because it was his first acting job and it was his like first day on set. And he showed up and there was like arguments kind of happening between like the director and Will and Martin, but it wasn't like real, but they were just like being loud, and they decided to play it up, and they decided to like actually make it look like Will and Martin were actually in a real like fight between the two of them as like men and the director, and they just like played it up, and he came into that, and they just like use it as like a not serenading, what do you call it, initiation kind of thing. So he was scared, and then he comes onto the scene, and he's like actually freaked out, and they just played with it and they were improvising that stuff, and so he's just legitimately scared, like he doesn't know what he needs to act. He thinks these guys are mad, he just doesn't know what to do. So like that was his first thing, and those are sincere looks of terror in his eyes as a young boy completely lost, and it makes for the best, most memorable scene like of all time. And then come to this film, he gets the next best, most memorable scene in the franchise. And so, you know, big glow up for him. I just like love looking at him in the background there. On the right hand side. They're like, yeah, something looked wrong in his eyes. Yeah, I am just like really enjoyed that. I also loved how they did a good job of using Will's son in this film. The whole like, you know, he ended up like, you know, killing you know, the captain, and then they bring in his granddaughter and his daughter, and the daughter's out for Will's son, but then there's like it's a good emotional scene where he saves the granddaughter, and it's just, I liked it because it was like I thought it was played well, and I just enjoyed that dynamic of, you know, that, you know, just because someone's bad doesn't mean like they're gonna do everything bad, and you know it's complicated and yet it's emotional, and she's standing up like don't kill him, you know, blah blah blah. So it's like it was good. I overall enjoyed this film. Would I say it's as good as Bad Boys 2, which is my favorite? No. Would I say it's as good as Bad Boys 1? Hell no. But it is way better than Bad Boys 3, and I would rewatch this film and I would skip the third film, as I will continue to do going forward.
T, how about you? Like, what is your rating, and what were the things that you liked, didn't like, and give full spoilers?
So my original rating, I believe, was 8.5. I'm gonna go down to an 8. And that's not taking anything away from the film. It's just I was just so overhyped in the moment. You know, I'm with the boys. You know, I had a really good time at the movies and whatnot. So it's kind of an impulsive rating, but I think 8 is solid for me because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Like Darcy, I wouldn't rank it as number 1. A lot of people are saying it's the best one in the franchise, and I think a lot of that is due to the Reggie scene, which was definitely fantastic and probably one of the highlights of the film. But y'all are forgetting that in Bad Boys 2, we had that epic highway chase scene with the cars, man.
That
like
was the opener. That was the opener.
Yeah, like that, and like to this day, that's still probably the best highway chase scene or like chasing in cars that I've seen in a movie to this day.
And that wasn't even the biggest scene in the film. Colombia was like, or no, Cuba. Where they went, he was driving down the hill and like blowing up the mansion. I'm just saying.
Yeah, or the epic scene in the drug house where he's shooting up all the Haitians. Oh man, like that to me, like that's still top tier, number 1.
Driving down the spiral.
Yeah.
Like that movie's full of epic moments.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys are definitely showing that you definitely love the second one the most.
Second one is hands down the best. I'm sorry, but this one is for me a close second, because the action was definitely on point. Not only the action was really good, but the comedy, what I felt like was a little bit more it was more of a return to form. I felt like they kind of some of the comedy in the third one, it just kind of felt really forced. And then I felt like Martin kind of took a back seat for like the first beginning of the film, and then it was really centered around more so with Will and his son and that whole dynamic and shit. And so Martin, I felt like didn't get enough screen time in that one. And if you're gonna have bad boys, and you gotta share the wealth in terms of the screen time, I feel, right? And so that's part of the reason why the third one didn't really work for me as well. It's still enjoyable, but not it's not high on my list. So yeah, I really love the dynamic between Will and Martin in this, especially Martin. Martin got his time to shine again, as he should, because he is a comedic genius. He's considered one of the greats in comedy. So I'm glad that he had his moments. Will obviously is great in this as well, and I like the dynamic shift that they take in this, where Will is kind of going through some stuff that he normally hasn't gone through in the previous films, and now he has to come to terms with, like, they're getting older, and like there's a lot more like that's riding on their lives and shit like that, right? So a lot more things to consider, especially with Will Smith and him getting married in this. So yeah, so that was cool. Obviously, I mentioned it already before, the Reggie scene, like he bodied it, like literally bodied that scene, like epic. I would like going in, I was like, I knew something dope was gonna happen because a lot of people were talking about it because we saw it like the week after it was released, and so people were raving about the Reggie scene. Wait till you get to the Reggie scene. So I was just waiting for it, and it definitely delivers on all cylinders, man. That scene was dope, and I hope if they do end up doing like a Bad Boys 5, they kind of like teased it a little bit with like during that scene, Armando looks at he gives like this look of like oh, like that's impressive, man. This guy actually knows what the fuck he's doing, and I don't know if there's like a spin-off that potentially could be in the works, or if they like if Reggie is gonna start to join, he's gonna join with Ammo or whatever, or how that's gonna work and whatnot. I just hope that if they do end up going that route, that they don't steal the spotlight from like Will and Martin, because like unless the plan is to pass the torch. But then again, I don't think it's gonna be as great because I don't feel like
Reggie and Armando don't really have the same like personalities as Will and
exactly. So
Martin.
I don't think it would work in that regard, because like they already did a spin-off with Martin's sister, Martin's character, Marcus's sister, with Gabrielle Union and Jessica Alba, I think it was. They did like a Bad Boys spin-off because she was
really?
Gabrielle Union played, but it only lasted one season. Yeah, it only lasted one season because like again, it's not Will and Martin. Like where
I didn't even know about that.
Oh wow, so, LA's finest from the
LA's
producers
finest,
of Bad Boy.
Yeah.
That just looks bad, and they also. I'm looking at the picture of it. Like Gabrielle Union looks like much older in this like shot than she did in the movie. I don't know. This poster's weird. Yeah, and Jessica Alba. Why Jessica Alba? What did she have to do with like? No, they look like trash. Oh yeah. They no.
But yeah, so the action, love the comedy, love the dynamic, love the Reggie scene. Ammo wasn't as annoying in this one. I wasn't a big fan of Ammo in the third one, and I felt like it was just too distracting, and it's just like I didn't sign up for this. I signed up for Bad Boys. Who the fuck is Ammo? I felt like they played a better role in the fourth one, in comparison to the third. So that was probably like my good criticisms of this. And then my only real bad one was there were a couple of cliche moments, like the captain's daughter dynamic thing was kind of like, okay, yeah, like kind of a cliche moment. I get why they did it, and they kind of had to shoehorn that in there to kind of progress the story and give Armando kind of like some sort of redeeming quality. So I understand it, but again, it was like I felt like that moment was a little bit cliche and a little on the cheesier side. But aside from that, love the movie. I highly recommend it. I hope they do another one. I like the fact that like they're doing what Fast and the Furious was trying to do, but didn't quite get there. Didn't quite get there. And I mean, we still fuck with the Fast and the Furious franchise. Well, I mean, me and Darcy anyway. Umar, I think you fell off a long time.
I'll do the 4DX with you guys.
Oh, I think
that's the only way to do it.
I thought you said I'll do the 40th. He's anticipating to go 40 film. He's like, we into the great grandkids now.
Yeah.
Like,
Seriously.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think what they're doing right now, like I was actually concerned in terms of the Fast and the Furious remark. I was actually a little concerned because the way that the third one ended, where Will Smith, I think it was like an end credit scene where he visits Armando in the high security prison, and then he's just like, yeah, I got this job for you, or so he says some kind of cheesy line like that, and I'm like, oh man, they just Fast and Furious this shit. Here we go. But then they kind of made it work in the fourth one, and it ended up panning out and being okay. So yeah, overall loved it. I would rank it Bad Boys 2, Bad Boys 4, Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 3.
Got it. All right, so for me, I would say that I'm still going to keep it at the 7 that I said before, 7 out of 10. And for me, I would say I will go with my criticisms are it still has the inherent cheese factor that all of them had, but at the same time, if it didn't, I would actually be a little concerned. I'll be like, guys, what are we watching? So I kind of was going in for that, and I will also see that while it was less than in Bad Boys for Life, I did like to see that they realized that they shouldn't use as much CG. Unfortunately, it did when they did do it, it was, in my opinion, blatantly obvious and kind of took me out of the whole action sequence of it, or action sequences or driving sequences. So those are really my only, I guess my other criticism, but I'm not sure if this is more an objective criticism and just me personally. They didn't have to kill Fletcher. I'm like, you stop killing off characters for that we love. And when it comes to the captain's daughter and granddaughter, they just appeared out of nowhere. I'm just okay, so we're supposed to we only care about you two because we love the captain. But I didn't even know he had a daughter until the third movie. So and they never show her or anything like that. And all of a sudden she's a U.S. Marshal with a teenage daughter. I'm like, okay. Whatever. I was like, hey, they want to do a good thing with Armando at the end. Fine. Also, I do feel that Armando has kind of massively switched sides a little too easily, but at the same time, they play it off really well by having Martin Lawrence and other people just hilariously make fun of his mom. So it's okay, so they know it's stupid. Let's move on. Aside from that, I would say Ammo. I think Ammo was meant to be the next continuation of Bad Boys, but they realized it didn't really fit very well. So now they're okay, we can't just automatically get rid of these people because some of them there was some nice traction, but at the same time, we're not going to in any way use them significantly. They're going to be just the new Fletcher, the new basically all the people that have killed off. They have new people to replace them as a younger age. So I'm like, whatever. Now to the parts that I liked, which is a lot. I like the action. Speaking a little bit of I guess you could say, Will Smith's reputation being fixed by this movie. The fact that he got slapped 4 times by Martin Lawrence. I found I was waiting for however this was going to play out, if it was going to play out or all. When it happened, it was near the end of the film, so I have actually forgotten about it because they didn't do it the first scene, they didn't do it in the middle scene. They did it at this part where you're actually not thinking about what's going on, and then it just starts happening, and you're oh, and then you're oh, and then he just keeps doing it, and you're
I didn't realize that until now.
Exactly, yeah. It as weird as it is, him being slapped 4 times was subtle enough that it could actually get past people.
I wonder if he required that. It's yo, Martin, actually slap me for real. I deserve it. I wonder if he.
I would be surprised because didn't Martin say get that shit out of your like head or mouth or something like that? Like, because he like he said something. I wish I paid more attention to it, because when the slap happened, I was more focused on the slap than listening to what he said. So I kind of want to rewatch it for many other reasons, but for that particular scene.
I'm going in for just a slap. That's all I'm here for. Guys, I'm here for a slap. Just call me in. I'll be in the bathroom. Let me know when it's time.
For me, there are 3 scenes in this movie that I'm here for. 1, the slap. 2, as we have been saying over and over again, Reggie. Reggie killed it. Actually, both Reggie scenes. When he kills everybody, and then also at the end during the barbecue. I was so happy they gave Reggie not just justice, but like epic justice, like Justice League level justice. Like, it was dope as fuck. And the third part, and I had forgotten she was in it, but the Tiffany Haddish scene had me dying.
Oh my! She
Like,
came out of nowhere.
And my favorite was Martin was like, yo, he's married now. We have to give him plausible deniability. And I was like,
Oh.
And my favorite part is like she literally like, opened up her legs. And I was like, oh my God.
We're so used to watching The Boys that we think it might actually go there.
Yeah.
Like it's not, but like we somehow think it might.
Yeah, so like kind of going to what you're saying, T, like the movie remembered that Martin Lawrence is actually funny.
Mm-hmm.
And they a lot of the times he was funny, they actually let him do it at Will's expense.
Yeah.
And Will he mostly took it. And I was like, okay, so like this is the reverse slap. It's like, okay, I'm you can make fun of me. But like honestly,
you said reverse slap. I'm just like imagining a fist coming off someone's face.
But honestly, like that scene particularly, I just loved how serious Martin Lawrence was in that scene, and how I could not, like, even Will, you could see he was trying to keep it together because Tiffany was just so offensively out there. Offensively, I should say, because like I wasn't offended. If Will was, who cares? But like it was hysterical, and I was all in for it. It was good seeing the captain back, even though it was like computer generated, or not computer generated, computer recorded. The action sequences were cool. I did enjoy the Doom video game perspective that they did, but they switched it where it was like from the gun's perspective, from the face perspective. That was interesting. I like the fact that they were experimenting. Yeah. And one thing I'm finally glad someone finally addressed it was during Martin's wedding speech, he brings up his sister.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just admit it. Martin was like, I really like Martin in this movie. He was like the crowning jewel for me. Like usually I like the two of them together, and yes, this was very much the two of them back to form. The directors were like, okay, we went too far out. We're going to bring it back on this one. I really, really like that. But for me, Martin was the MVP. Mm-hmm. In fact, I would say that this one had heart because with Bad Boys for Life, there was a scene in the beginning portion of it when Will finds out that Marcus has retired. And he's like coming at him for like, how could you do this? Like, oh, look, I don't mean that much to you, sort of thing. And like Marcus is just like, I was there every single day. I wiped drool off your face. And Will's like, that was the two of them proving that they could be dramatic actors even in a funny series. They didn't really have that in this one, but they didn't need it because they had their camaraderie. And the camaraderie was almost family-like. And then you have the final scene with Reggie. And yes, Reggie's in the background. It's like justice for Reggie. But also it's the two of them get to like now that I know the backstory of Reggie's first scene, based on what you were saying, Darcy, it almost makes that scene even more special because like the three of them get to like redo it, but now it's like all three of them are doing it together.
I'm gonna let this motherfucker cook the chicken.
Yes, I will go set the table. So like what I loved about this movie, and I think the reason why it made me so happy was because the actors, the directors, the writers all realized that, hey, we've all been doing this. We all happy together. Let's honor what we've been working on, and also let's have fun. And like that just made me love the movie. And that's why for me it is like it's hard for me to kind of like I will say that like watching the Bad Boys movies, I watched them at such random different ages of my life that I never really kind of like went along with it. It was like I watched the first one when I was like when it first came out, loved how cool it was, didn't watch it again, watched Bad Boys 2 like a few years ago because you guys were talking about it. I was like, I think I've aged out of this. Watched Bad Boys 3 just before seeing the movie, just before seeing Ride or Die, and I was like, oh, I see what Darcy's saying. And so like I was like already kind of in a negative headspace, and they didn't really like get me out of it. But this one, for some reason, I was like all in. So for me, this is my second favorite because
second favorite.
I'm nostalgically loving the first one, but I'm not saying objectively it is better. I'm saying this is all based off perception based. This is not objective based. So for me, it's Bad Boys 1, this one, Bad Boys 2, but like by like a dick hair. And then I've said that before. Don't act like I don't say that, not regularly, but I have said it before.
I know, but it's also like the context is like, I don't know, that it felt forced. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was just bringing it back anyway. And then
I rate that, bro.
And then Bad Boys for Life is number 4 for me.
I definitely don't rate your this is not the second best film of the franchise. I don't rate that. Not even close.
I have a fundamentally different perspective than you guys do, though. Like mine is, I would say mine is skewed.
I can understand your reasoning. For me, I look at it like this: it's like you know, with like, for example, like Batman Begins, and then there's The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Right, where it's like for me, like Bad Boys 2 is like The Dark Knight, but the original, like Batman Begins, is still a great film, and we wouldn't have the second without the first, right? So it set the standard, right? So I wouldn't even be mad if like someone said, oh, like I actually really liked Batman Begins a little bit more than Dark Knight.
No, if you say Bad Boys 1 is better than Bad Boys 2, I can respect that. Bad Boys 1 is a fantastic film. It's got even more nostalgia and stronger like roots. I don't think the fourth one we just watched is better than 2. That's what I'm saying. I don't agree with that.
My perceptions for the fourth one are also fundamentally different from your guys, because like I saw it with my bros. I also saw this after a marathon. And also, like, I was rooting for this movie to do well because I wanted Will to get out of the whole like the hole he got stunk in terms of Hollywood. So like, I can't say I'm like looking at these objectively. I actually personally want to rewatch all 4 of them when they're out online like in a year or two, and I kind of want to watch them like so I can look at it more objectively, because like. This is just based off feeling. This isn't based off like any kind of like anything other than like a skewed perspective. So like I will fully take responsibility for my whack style of
I get what you're saying though. Like I mean, time actually matters in terms of when you actually saw the film, because you know if you're going back and watching a film after the hype of that film has died down, it sometimes doesn't hit the same way. Like when Bad Boys 2 first came out and everyone was talking about the Reggie scene, like that Reggie scene, and like like all the jokes and everything that like it made the movie that much better because you had a chance to relive those moments vicariously through someone who had maybe watched it like a couple days or like weeks after you did, right? Like it's like, for example, I don't know if you've ever watched Umar, maybe you've seen the movie Dark City.
Oh, ages ago.
Yeah, so apparently, I saw it over the weekend for the first time ever, and like everyone was raving about it because they're like, oh, this is what the Matrix was supposed to be, but the Matrix came out after, and it ended up taking out all the spotlight. So I'm going in thinking, oh, like okay, I guess Dark City is gonna be just as good as the Matrix, if not slightly better.
It was like the 90s, like late. Yeah.
Sweet, man. I'm like, this ain't no Matrix movie, bro. What are you talking about? This movie, I'm sorry, man. That movie was ass. I was not fucking with that movie at all, bro. That is a far stretch of a comparison. Nah, man, that ain't it. Maybe if I had seen it when it first came out, I'd have thought differently. But Dark City, that's some dark ass.
It's also not just because you've already seen The Matrix and like everything else afterwards, but also like you've been watching so many other movies that basically built off this film.
Exactly.
So it's like I've seen
going back. Yeah, I'm like, I've seen the best of the best, and I'm like, yeah, this ain't. I respect it for being an original, and everyone else copying after it and shoehorn like, but yeah, that movie wasn't it. It wasn't it.
You know what? Okay, this kind of reminds me of this. Like, okay, let's go to the forest. Look at this beautiful tree, and it's like, yeah, like that's a dope ass tree. It's like, and then it's like, okay, Tactix. Let's go back in time. Look at this seed. It's like,
it's like, yeah, nah, bro. Nah.
No, I don't need to see you.
Take me back to where the trees are at, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I get what you're saying, right? Like while I don't agree, both me and Darcy watched it in the moment at the peak, like the height of its prime, right? So for you're going back and watching it for the first time after all that shit has died down, and now you have the hype of this new one. So of course your perspective is going to be slightly different. So yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, I think I watched.
Let me ask this question though. I got it through some. Thinking forward, and I'm just gonna use the two films because I want to like there's too many films to compare on here, but like just Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys 4. Okay, now think, okay, in the future, 5-10 years from now, if you're walking by and someone's watching Bad Boys 4, or if you walk by and someone's watching Bad Boys 2, which one you think you're gonna be like, oh shit? Let me sit down. Let me put my eyes on that with you.
So like,
I mean, you can't answer that now. He just saw Bad Boys 4, bro.
So like, your because you and I kind of have a similar.
Which one you think is gonna have the higher replay and like catch your attention? Because like sometimes you walk by someone watching a film, you're like, oh yeah.
Like on a plane.
Yeah, and then sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that. You're like, that's good. I'm gonna keep on my business.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like if I see Bad Boys 2, I'm gonna stop any day of the week. This film is cool, but like Bad Boys 2 to me is like watching like someone watching The Fifth Element. I would literally walk by one day, the kids were watching The Fifth Element in my house, and I was like, yo, move over.
Wait, where's the popcorn
at? like scoot. Let's watch this.
I don't know.
So Darcy, I feel you because I share the same sentiment as you, obviously, because I watched it around the same time, probably the same day that you did, and even though I thoroughly enjoyed the fourth movie, it like we already said, like the Bad Boys 2 had so many like rewatchable moments to go back to. Like I'm thinking back to this one, and I'm like, okay, there's the Reggie scene. There's maybe like the Doom like shootout,
the crocodile place.
Yeah. There's that, and then I can't really think
Tiffany.
Or maybe Armand. Yeah, Tiffany.
The airplane.
And the Armando scene.
The airplane scene was pretty nice.
It was
short. It was nice. It was short.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, that'd be interesting to tally up like the epic moments.
I was just thinking.
Because here's the thing, and I'm gonna make this comparison, but it's not gonna. It's gonna sound a little off. I would say that Bad Boys 2 is on par with The Dark Knight, not just because it's being a better film in the than the first in the franchise, but. Right. So the one thing I've always loved about the Bad Boys, about the Dark Knight, was every movie tend to always have, okay, here's a big setup in the beginning, we got a couple big scenes in the middle, boom, big climax, and then we're done. And I always said the Dark Knight for me felt like a movie of 4 climaxes, where it would be like, oh my god, this big epic moment, and you could be telling me 1 hour in the film is done because that scene was so epic that I'd be like, nah, it's too soon, but damn, that felt like the end. Then it goes back down. We get a second big one, like, okay, that's clearly the end. We like an hour and a half. This is a short film. No, we'll go back down, and we had like 4. By the time I was done, I was like, I don't know where this is gonna end. Like, it just felt like it felt like I was just waiting for the next climax, and like we're just gonna be on this roller coaster all day. And I love that about the film. It just had these epic moments, right, where it just felt like it was never going to end. Like the Joker was just gonna keep pushing it, right? Yeah. And in terms of epic spectacle, Bad Boys 2 has so many epic moments that like before the whole going to Cuba part, that movie was done, and then you're like, and his sister's kidnapped. That movie ain't done. Let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you literally thought it was over, and then now we got a whole other arc we haven't even touched yet, right? And so it's just like there's not that many movies that have so many that you'd be like, oh yeah, that was a good finish. Like that wasn't the end of the film. There was another 20 minutes after that. You're like, oh yeah, there was. Like so yeah, there's not a lot to have that. I mean, I'd love to see what other films we could think of, but regardless, yeah, Bad Boy 4 does not have that under its repertoire, and that's why I'm like, nothing else can touch it for me in the series.
I mean, they kind of did, but not as well, because his wife got kidnapped.
Yeah, but it's again, we know, like, I'm not saying I didn't like it. I enjoyed it, and I definitely enjoyed it more being with the bros. That it worked, it played, but it's not stacking up like the same number.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, and like, because I understand what Umar is saying too, right? Yeah, but Darcy, I'm with you, guy, because I was like, Bad Boys 2 is it for me.
I understand. I understand where we're at. You know, I'm just putting down the fact, and Umar's out here putting down the girl math. It's all good. I couldn't help myself.
Umar, I can't say anything for that.
I admit I know I'm wrong in this situation. It's just.
You're not wrong. You're just not right.
that was perfect.
So yeah. Anyway, so like, for those of you who like the Bad Boys movies, definitely watch this movie. Like, this is definitely worth watching. Where it ranks is debatable. Apparently, not so much, because literally it's like 2 to 1. And even I'm not even agreeing with my perspective. But anyway, so I will just say that y'all go watch it and then leave a comment of what you thought and where it ranks for you, so that we can have more people disagree with me. So yeah, I'm going to volley it to you, T, for our closing remarks.
All right. Well, this has been another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. We want to thank you guys once again for tuning in wherever you are, whether you're watching at home, whether you're on the road and you're listening. We love you nonetheless, and we will see you guys next week. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Please like, favorite, and subscribe, and live long and prosper, y'all.
Yo, sing the Bad Boys theme song right now, bro. Do you know the words?
No.
It's next in the butt. It's next. No snow. Hey.
Bad boys.
What you gonna do? I love when they did like the read